Yep. Mac 11, Stolen Invest Returns. Once I did these things, I never looked back. So let's go into a very pertinent introduction. Now, doing things and never looking back, let's go from the obvious to the more nuanced, the more subtle. The obvious thing is, it's something that changed your life. It's something that you wished you had done sooner. Something comes into your life, or you do a habit, or you have a mindset, and you let it take you on. Now we're getting more specific, more nuanced. You're taking it on, and then you get to a point where it becomes you. It becomes how you think. It becomes how you operate, whether it be a physical thing or a metaphysical thing, mental, emotional, soul-based, spiritual, whatever. And you never look back because you realized that what you were doing before was and is obsolete. You get to that point where you're like, oh, man, I've been wasting my life. Let's get this out of here so that I can move on to better things, so I can move more efficiently, so I can move better, operate better, and just slay life easier, right? Think about it this way. We're becoming more stingy with our time and energy, which is, by the way, key, a very, very important thing. We are becoming more and more high standards with ourselves. We don't want to hang out with those types of people anymore. We don't want to do those types of things anymore. We don't want to think those ways anymore, because now we're at this elevated level, and we've realized that these other things in our life, detrimental, unhealthy, a waste of our time, our energy, our life. Let that sink in. Do about that, think about that, feel about that. On to my specific things. So, we'll start with the silly one. Number 1. And by the way, I might put the 7 things in the title, but let's just do more. We're already here. We're already partying. We're already having a good time. Number 1, let's start with the silly one. Slide lock belts. So I would use those loop hole belts, click them in, and from standing up to sitting down, one was more or less comfortable. Or when sitting and driving in the car, always just having to flop that out, because I'm a man who wants what he wants. So therefore, if I'm driving for pretty much any period, any amount of time, I want to loosen up my waist. I want to get comfy. So floop it up and make it happen. So with the whole notch belts, it's kind of like, if I'm being honest, maybe in between these two holes would be the best fit for standing, different one for sitting, different one for doing this, for being more active, different one for being less active. And I've gotten to the point where I had been at the point where I'm like, I want what I want. I'm just gonna drill some holes into this belt, because the holes that were provided by the dang factory, not good enough for me. Not good enough. Drill, this is good. Drill, this is better. And then the crazy part is, and this is very symbolic, we'll go into the symbolism later. What's so great is I was doing a handyman job and just cleaning up after the fact and breaking down boxes. And she was like, yeah, throw this stuff away while you're at it, on your way out. Yeah, sure. Well, in the pile of garbage were 2 brand new belts. This client was pretty well off, so whatever. Some $40, $50 belts, who cares? And one of them was one of these slide lock belts that I'm wearing right now, you better believe it. And I'm gonna get some more of these belts. Slide lock, where you get it to just the right spot, and then there's a little hinge, a little clicky majig, where you want to loosen it on the spot, click, slide. You want to tighten it on the spot, click, slide. In fact, for the tighten, you don't even have to click anything. You just pull the end and it gets tighter. You want to loosen it, click and slide. It's super easy, and I'm never looking back. So, and the symbolism about it is, well, among many things, there's always an easier way to do something. There's always an easier way to approach something. And to just be introduced to that new thing, it makes the general epiphany of, what else? What else am I missing out on? And you can go far with even just that. So something like a sliding belt comes into your life, or something similar, and you get to the point where you're like, what else? Where else am I just wasting my time and energy? Where else can I be doing things so much better? Have things being done so much easier? I could be having so much more fun. I could be saving so much time and energy. And I could just be enjoying my life way more. Where else? What else am I missing out on? Oh my goodness. Woo! Even just that concept alone, let that sink in. Number 2, eating healthier. And we'll go more specific, but it has come in steps. And each time, if I'm not stubborn about it, each major step that I make, I don't look back. I'm like, I should have done this sooner. Let's go. And when the time is right, when the energy is right, I'm going to take another step up, and another, and another, and another. Okay? So, one of the first steps was experimental. Changing my diet from the whatever I want to eat to, alright, let's try vegetarianism. And I originally tried it in my early 20s because, hey, I saw a couple documentaries and I'm like, oh no, the way that they treat those animals, why? Why? So yeah, I got to the point where I was like, ugh. And I hear it's healthier, and I was in the thick of it in the spiritual realm. Or maybe that happened shortly after, but regardless, it all tied in, and I was like, ooh, I could be more spiritual and I could save the animals, yeah. So I did that for years on end, probably for about 9 years. And so yeah, so in this 9-year span, I just felt it. I just felt healthier, and I stopped craving meat, and I felt that I had more energy, and just eating cleaner in general. I'm like, I'm not looking back. I'm not looking back. I'm feeling different. I'm moving different. So why would I go back? And then, now the next step or steps kind of happened in short order, in relatively quick succession. in like a 3 or so month span, I had a major wake-up call where I went to cutting out junk food, and like all junk food, like even like tortilla chips. It's like, let's be honest, like they're fried food. Like, come on, like we can't be fooling ourselves. Cut out the fried food, cut out most of the processed stuff, most of the seed oil stuff, most of the GMO stuff, and most of the high sugar stuff, most of the high carb stuff, because I just did enough research. And by research, I mean like watching influencer videos. You watch enough of those, and even, it's just like middle-aged doctors just paying it forward, just putting the information out there, and they're just like, look, this works for me. And then if you watch enough videos, you realize how many people it's worked for. So leaning towards generally like keto mode, not being like super strict on it, but cutting down in the things that you should be cutting down on, and boosting up on the things that you should be boosting up on. Healthy fats, healthy proteins, things like that. And intermittent fasting and things like that. Oh, fasting was another step. I got to the point where I was intermittent fasting, and I got to the point where I wasn't even hungry before like 1 or 2 o'clock naturally. It was just like, all right, get my water intake. That's another one right there. So a lot of the changes I made and never looked back was bodily health related and mental, emotional health related. So hydration, diet, and different types of diet, upgrading that, the belt. So hydration, adding electrolytes, look into spiralizing your water, vortexing your water as well, getting spring water, right? So I took multiple steps of upgrading my water intake in general, right? If you can't get to a really nice natural spring, search up findaspring.com. If you want to search that stuff up for yourself, findaspring.com. So, multiple levels, multiple steps of upgrading even just water intake. Because, look, in general, if you get right down to it, this body, this vessel, this operating machine, if you don't have this right, if you don't have the food, the physical activity, the sleep, and the beneficial mindset, like those 4 or 5 like crucial like core level things, and just treating yourself right, at a soul, at a core essence level. Like if we're not getting these rudiments, these fundamentals, and we wonder why like life is, at times like so hard, or it feels like it's caving in on us. Cater to the fundamentals, the rudimentals. Like, let's go. Like, let's do it. Like, change those up and see how your life changes. It changes. It can be that simple. But you gotta try it. But it gets better every day. But it gets easier. But you gotta do it every day. But it gets easier. But you gotta do it every day. Right? Just being in line with that. So, back to the diet. So, in relatively short order, I went from cutting out the BS ingredient foods, going more towards natural foods, leaning in the direction of keto because it's seemingly helped out so many people. I'm like, all right, it's worth it. Let's go. Like before, and then I have been slowly bringing back meat. But for me, it's just been bacon and then sometimes seafood. Like, I live in Maryland, like, sometimes crab, sometimes salmon, you know, wild, Alaskan, organic, pasture raised, like, whatever. Like, that type of stuff. It does matter, right? Like, the bacon I get, I'm going to be getting beef liver. Search up beef liver, nature's multivitamin. So when, it's not a if, it's when I buy some beef liver, it's going to be organic, pasture raised. Like, I go to my local Facebook groups and I say, where can I get the best pasture raised beef liver? And people deliver, right? Utilize your resources. I tell you, it's really not that hard. Even if you don't have a Facebook, just make one. Join a group, or 2, or 5, or 10. You can even post anonymously if you're like, oh, I don't want anybody to know that me, you know, under my name, I'm searching for beef liver. Oh no, just whatever. Be anonymous if you're, you know, scared about it, whatever. So, changing the diet in all these different ways, slowly and surely, I'm not looking back. I'm not looking back because I'm experiencing the massive, massive benefits in my body, in my mindset. And again, if you don't have your body and your mind, you really don't have anything. Everything else just seems bleak and meaningless and worthless because you don't feel like your life is worth it. If you don't feel like your life is worth it, if you don't feel like making things happen is worth it, like in many tiers and many levels of the game of life, that sucks. Like, you're pretty screwed. Just change it up. Eat better, move better, sleep better. Like, it can really be that simple. And I would also argue that even before any of that, even though those things you should all do, like, talk to yourself better, like, internally. Like, remember, you know, I know this is getting more on the quote-unquote spiritual side, but the way I see it and the way that many people see it, it's very true. Like, and you can be logical about it. You could be scientific about it, where it's like, okay, look, my heart is still beating. There's something, whether or not I understand it, there's something going on that is beyond my understanding that's keeping my heart beating, that's keeping me alive. If this game itself is keeping me alive, like, I might as well play. Like, this game isn't taking me out yet. And if we feel this, like, oh, woe is me, you know, I have this disability or this condition, let's be real, let's be a little tough love about it. Were there a collection of decisions, physical health and mental health wise, diet, movement or lack of movement, and sleep or lack of sleep or lack of quality of sleep, were there many movements that led you or led the environment, the situation, into the condition, the disability? If you were born with a disability and or a condition, and it was kind of like your parents or your just general genetics, like, that is a darn shame. And we can still make the argument that, yeah, like, maybe your parents, your grandparents coulda, woulda, shoulda made those better mobility, those diet, those sleep pattern, those physical environment decisions. So it is unfortunate, but if our physical mental being is still going, like, let's keep going. I'll end it with this because I gotta do some bank stuff. Alright, So I will end it with this general concept. You are still going, and I want you to think about, because this brings us into a thankfulness, a general gratitude, a general thankfulness of being alive. I want you to think of the things that happened that you implemented in your life that got you to the point where you're like, wow, my life is considerably better. I'm not looking back. Like, this is it. Like, boom, I hit a really good spot. I'm going to keep doing this. I'm going to keep being this. Like, let's go. Let's make this happen. I'm not looking back. And you can keep stacking these things, stacking wins. Keep asking yourself, what else? What else is out there that I can keep stacking wins, stacking gains, stacking improvements, where I'm like, yes, my life is better. Boom, better. Boom, better. I'm not looking back. I'm not looking back. Better. I'm not looking back. Better. I'm not looking back. Keep stacking those wins, y'all. I will. This is Mac 11. Soul Invest returns. Peace.